We breathe knowing the light that we are, recognizing the light in others, knowing that we live our lives from within to without. A power and a presence that rules over all things, that inspires us, that breathes life into us and into all of those we are holding in this space this morning. And for this awareness, we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Just take a couple deep
breaths in, moving into your center, remembering, acknowledging that your life is a prayer. What if a prayer is not a plea, a desperate call with tears that fall on bended knee, but breathing out and breathing in, it's God in me that lives and breathes, my trusted friend. My life is a prayer that God is praying. My thoughts are words that God is saying. My laughter is the sound of angels playing. My life is a prayer that God is praying. What if today I have the chance to move and sway? God leads the way in my life's dance. What if I knew without a doubt, no need to fear, God's right here within, without. My life is a prayer that God is praying. My thoughts are words that God is saying. My laughter is the sound of angels playing. My life is a prayer that God is praying. My life is a prayer that God is praying. My life is a
I invite you to just breathe into that for a minute. My life is a prayer that God is praying. Our theme for 2021 is Seeds of Inspiration. Now, inspire is an interesting word. It has its roots in the Latin word, which I'm going to butcher, inspirar, to breathe into. Think about it. Everything begins with the breath of life. When we were created, if you look at the Bible story that we grew up with, what animated us was the breath of life, the breath of God. As we move into this year, I want to challenge you to think about what you are breathing life into. I know coming out of 2020, which was a powerful time of discernment for me, reevaluating my own values, my own priorities, the things that are important to me, which now has become like my guiding star for what I'm choosing to breathe life into in 2021. How are you going to sow the seeds of inspiration in 2021? Last Sunday after the service, we kind of sat and chatted, which is one of the things I'm appreciating about Zoom. For those of you that are with us on Zoom, is that we get to hang out afterwards and have some conversations. And Susan said, I'd like to know what people's white stone is. So if you didn't participate in that service, it's available online. And I invite you to think about that, because the white stone becomes kind of our guiding star throughout the rest of the year. And my white stone was discipline. It's actually a word that I'd gotten when I was on retreat the week before. What I didn't share with the group is that back in July, Jane and I were out hiking in the Blue Ridge Mountains at a place called Angel Falls. And when we got to the beautiful rocks, I thought of my friend Kat, who's a rock hound. And while we were there, in fact, I brought her back a rock. While we were there, I found, I have to figure out where my camera is. There we go. I brought this rock back, which you probably can't tell from the light, but it's very sparkly. And it caught my eye because it was under the water and it was kind of shimmering like fool's gold. And I picked it up and I sat under the waterfall and breathed into the silence. And the affirmation that came to me was, I am a sower of stardust and light. You see, seeds of inspiration are great. It's great to have seeds. And those seeds, as I discovered when I was cleaning out my office yesterday, those seeds left in the packet won't grow. They're just there in the packet, in the drawer, hidden away. We have so many seeds within us. But you see, until we cast them out, until we sow them, they really are pretty meaningless. It is up to us to breathe life into them. There's a passage that I've been thinking a lot about recently that comes from Timothy 1, verse 7. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but the spirit of love, of power, of sound mind. So we're going to spend the next couple of Sundays looking at that spirit within us. So how do we get this gift, right? How do we ask for it? How do we prepare for it? The answer to that is that you already have it. And when you are in that spirit of fear, it is simply that you've gotten out of alignment with the spirit of power and love and sound mind that you are. You see, being afraid isn't a bad thing. It isn't a good thing. It isn't a thing at all. It is an emotion that is providing us with information. And that information is that we are out of alignment with truth of who we are. And so this spirit of power that is given to us has been given to us from the moment we came into this planet. Eric Butterworth, one of Unity's master teachers, talks about this God whose circumference is everywhere and at the point of where we are. I've been reading a young man known as Kyle Gray recently, who I swear is a unitic at heart. And what he says is, we have this inner spark, this eternal connection to the divine, the universal life force, the cosmic presence that runs through all that ever is and ever will be. It is light in presence and love in essence. I love that idea, that it is light in presence and love in essence. Quantum physics points to the fact that everything exists within everything. Think about that. Everything exists within everything. We're having some more technological challenges. My computer just flashed that it's not getting power. So if I disappear, just assume that I've ascended already. So think about that. Everything that exists is within everything. I've been studying the DNA lately. I'm reading a book someone gave me called The Cosmic Serpent. And it talks about how our DNA is the same as every living DNA. Like, it's the same. We all have the same code at the root of our DNA. So to me, that's evidence that everything is not only part of everything, but everything is part of creative life force that brought us into existence. Think of the power of that. So it's true that there is nowhere that God or this creative living energy is not. And that in truth, if you're breathing, you are expressing that creative, divine, living energy. So you can never not be in the flow of the divine. However, you can't pinch it off, right? You can slow it down, but you can never not be in it because it is who you are. And so if we identify this divine energy as omnipotent, omnipresence, omniscience, then we too are those things. We too are the spirit of power expressing. And so how is it that we identify with that power and we begin to express it in the world? I know that there have been many times in the last year where I felt completely powerless. And sometimes when I turn on the TV, it's easy for me to get caught up in this sense that I am powerless. And the truth, my friends, is that we are never powerless, because that spirit of power is always with us. So how do we find it? How do we release the spirit of fear and connect to the spirit of power? Reverend Linda Martella Whitsitt, in her book, Divine Audacity, talks about the different aspects of the power of power. And she identifies them as concentration, self-mastery, and spiritual authority. So concentration. We say often in unity, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And we say that glibly, you know, we've been taught it and it just sounds like the cool thing to say. But that's not necessarily true. You see, what's really true is we manifest what we focus on. What we focus our thoughts on, our feelings on, our actions on, what we are focused on is what we create more of. And so if we are focused on our fear, then our fear not only grows, it ripples out. However, if we turn within and connect to the spirit of power, then we are not only empowered, we empower others. Eric Butterworth talks about living a life from within out. It is about connecting to our divine nature, this living within the truth of who we are, living within where we are focused instead of focusing out and expecting that to reflect inward. When we are focused within, then we learn to be disciplined. I told you that was my word, right? And I have to tell you, when I did the meditation and that word came to me, I groaned. Because discipline means all kinds of things to me. Having fun is not one of them. And yet, What I am discovering is that through discipline, I have self-mastery. And when I have self-mastery, I have freedom. I have lots of freedom. Because you see, self-mastery is about aligning our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions so that they are a reflection of the light within. And discipline is about training, to train or to develop by instruction or exercise, especially in self-control, which is restraint exercise over one's own impulses, emotions, and desires. When I read that, I know exactly how undisciplined I really am. Because I would rather play than work. And I'm easily distracted by all kinds of things. You may not be like that at all. Maybe your emotions don't run away with you. Maybe you don't ever get caught up in what you're desiring without first seeing if it aligns with what your life's purpose is, or aligns with your values and what's important to you. Self-mastery teaches us to have restraint. And it is self-mastery that allows us to courageously respond. So many of us get in that habit of constantly reacting to whatever's going on around us. Or we shut down all the stimulus of everything that's around us. When we gain self-mastery, we can move into a place of spiritual authority. Spiritual authority is when we act from inner wisdom. You see, first we have to stop all the chatter. First, we have to gain some control over our emotions. We have to align ourselves with the truth of who we are. And then we can exercise spiritual authority. If we think about the creation story, as we talk about the breath of life, it began with God was thinking about creating the world. And God thought, well, maybe it might be a good idea to kind of sort of maybe think about forming this land of mass. What we read in Genesis is, let there be light, and there was light. That's spiritual authority. when we stand in the truth of who we are and we command that things be different. Going back to this idea of sowing seeds of inspiration, when we sow the seeds and expect that nothing will happen, that nothing will grow, that nothing will take root, then that's true. When we sow those seeds and we expect things to take root, we expect to grow, we expect others to grow, we expect things to change, that is also true. Because we are exercising our spiritual authority. You see, we have that authority whether we recognize it or not. Whether we intentionally use it with consciousness or not. We are always using that spiritual authority to create. How will you use your spiritual authority? I was thinking about sowers when I looked at my little rock this morning. And I was thinking, there are I think there are two kinds of sowers. There are the sowers that walk through life randomly casting their seeds. And then there are sowers like my friend Joff, who dig the hole exactly 6 inches, who plant the 3 seeds with love and care, and who cover them up and then go another 6 inches before they dig the next hole and plant the seeds. And neither of those is wrong. And it's important to think about what kind of sower you are. I imagine if you've been around me any length of time, you know what kind of sower I am. How we sow the seeds is not as important whether you're scattering them randomly or you're planting them in order, in some kind of systematic, controlled, self-mastery kind of way. It is the authority that you exercise over the sowing. Are you randomly sowing the seeds with conscious intention from that place of divine power, from that place of being the truth of who you are? Are you planting those seeds in a systematic way, consciously, with the expectation that they will grow, with the intention of love? Remember what Kyle Gray said. Its presence is light. Its essence is love. That's us. Our presence is light. Our essence is love. Kyle Gray wrote what I've decided is probably my mission statement. He says, I am not here to adhere to the rules of other people's egos or expectations. I am here to follow the light of my own soul and serve the world in a way that also serves me. That is spiritual authority. When we understand that no matter what is going on around us, we are the spirit of power. When we realize life lived from within out brings us into alignment out of the spirit of fear into the spirit of power, of love, and of sound mind. In that power, in that presence of light, in that essence of love, what will you breathe life into? Namaste, my friends, with infinite love and gratitude. So I'm going to invite you to take a couple of deep breaths in. Settle into your bodies. Become quiet and relaxed. Close your eyes, or whatever you need to do to turn that focus, that concentration within. We're going to listen to some beautiful music from Sue for a few minutes as we enter into this sacred time of meditation. I invite you to breathe in. Breathe into that center of your beingness. Breathe in to that energy of life and creation that flows in you and through you. Breathe in to the fullness of that cosmic presence. And in your mind's eye, imagine before you a garden that doesn't look much like a garden now. It's merely soil that has been turned. This is the garden of your heart. The garden of your soul. And as you look out on this garden, I ask you to consider, what are the seeds that you will sow here? Will they be seeds of love, of joy, of peace, of harmony, alignment? Imagine in your hands that you are holding a small sack filled with seeds. Your intentions, your dreams, your desires, your visions. How will you use these seeds to inspire others? As we move into the silence, I invite you to sow your seeds in the garden of your life. Take a deep breath in. Open your eyes and come back into this moment. We are blessed by your generosity. We are blessed by your presence on Zoom. And today in particular, I was blessed by your graciousness. So if you're on YouTube Live, I feel and appreciate your energy. If you're on Zoom, it's great to see your beautiful faces. Thank you for taking time to be with us. Know that we continue to evaluate being back in our sanctuary again and want everything to be safe for everyone. Please take your imaginary tithe, since you've already sent it in. Take your blessings, your gratitude, your abundance and prosperity. Put your hands on your heart and say the blessing with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. A couple of announcements. Monday night, we're doing Metaphysical Mayhem from the Bible. That's my new name for it. We're doing Metaphysical Bible Interpretation with me on Zoom through the rest of this month. Tuesday, starting this week, Susan, or next week? Susan is starting a new, yes, Susan.
It started 2 weeks ago.
First
Week of January.
All
but
right.
We're only on the 3rd chapter, so one can join us.
Okay. So there's a book study that happens Tuesdays at 1 o'clock, also on Zoom, on this very same address. Wednesday nights at 6:30, Susan and I take turns tag teaming and leading meditation. So we invite you to be a part of that as well. Be looking for surveys. I did not get them sent out last week. My goal is to send them out this week, either via email or mailing copies out of a survey around reopening the church and kind of where you're at and how you're feeling, and helping us guide our decisions moving forward. And I think that's all of the announcements. Susan. Oh, your class. Speak up.
Next Sunday at noon on Zoom on this channel, we're going to look at the 12 powers, and it's exactly what Reverend Glenda was talking about self-mastery. And we will be looking at each power within us, and I hope you join me.
It'll be a great class. Also on Zoom. Here on Wednesdays, there's a Serenity Alive meeting that meets at noon. We're here. Yoga on Thursday nights has also resumed. There's a drop-in fee of $10 with Danielle. It's a great practice that incorporates breathing, meditation, and yoga. So you're welcome to join that as well. All right, let's put our hands at Namaste at our hearts. And I'm going to try to start off the prayer correctly this time. The prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. You are indeed, and all is well. And we have a special treat. We have Kat and Sue who are going to play the peace song for us. Let us join.
Together from wherever we are, singing, "Let there be peace on earth."
Have a blessed week, everyone. And if you want to hang out and talk, know that you can do that. We'll stay up.